You've heard the invitation to step up. Perhaps you've even challenged yourself to do it. For most people, stepping up is followed by shrinking back. In today's episode, I'll show you why this happens and I'll share exactly what you can do to get off that zigzag. Let's get started, shall we?
Well, hello, all you beautiful people, and welcome to Project Joyful, the podcast for health-centered leaders. I'm your host, Tracy Tutty, your medical herbalist, neuro-identity evolution practitioner, and high-performance coach. So hey, Project Joyful isn't just about being happy. It's about consciously creating a life you love. It's about remembering how to reconnect with your soul-centered joy. You know, that joy that comes from doing what you love, from living on purpose, and from being in a life that allows you to experience deep joy, moment by moment. It's also about bringing that joy into your workplace and using your skills as a health-centered leader to heal your team. So let's get started, shall we?
Often I hear emerging leaders and leaders on the brink of elevating their leadership talk about the need to step up. They talk about it in relation to themselves or their team. But here's the thing. If you're looking to elevate your leadership long term, this idea of stepping up will set you up on a roller coaster of stepping up and shrinking back, stepping up and shrinking back. Short term, it can be helpful. But if you're looking for a sustainable elevation, it's a failing strategy. Before we get into the why and what to do differently, let's look at the stepping up notion a little more deeply. The phrase stepping up comes from baseball, where the batter steps up to the plate, faces their adversary, in this case the pitcher, notes the pockets to avoid, which is the fielders, and prepares to perform in that challenging situation. Over time, it's left the baseball pitch and become associated with the concept of rising to meet a challenge, doing more or performing at a higher level. It's also associated with taking an action that indicates that you're ready, as in the batter gets ready to receive and hit the ball, preferably out of the park. As with many of these memes, it's about the meaning you're giving it. There are times when the next thing feels scary, and one of the ways to meet that scary is to step up to the plate and do the thing. So, as a short-term strategy that's paired with an identity evolution, it's great. Often the missing piece is that identity evolution, however, and that's the thing that brings the long-term success. Now, remember that definition which spoke to doing more. This is where things start to unravel. If you're brought into the doing more to achieve more treadmill, well, you're on a path that ultimately leads to burnout. Why? Because it's grounded in I'm not enough. I have to fix or change to get to where I need to go. Well, firstly, let me tell you this. You're not broken. You've simply forgotten who you are. The journey of identity evolution is one of releasing those parts that aren't congruent with who you really are. You know, the shoulds and the musts. Identity evolution is about letting go of the operation manual that was continuously thrust into your personality in the first 7 years of your life by well-meaning but misguided authority figures. And that's why my coaching program's called Revitalize. We let go of the things that are sucking you dry. If doing more was the solution to getting where you think you're meant to be, then everybody who worked their butt off would succeed. Look around you. You'll see plenty of people working hard but not getting the results they're after. And you'll also see the opposite. Stepping up gives credence to the fake it until you make it philosophy. Want to feel exhausted and on the edge for the majority of your day? Fake it until you make it. When we're faking it, we're in survival mode, constantly keeping our guard up in case we're found out. And this way of being triggers a physiological response, which is great for a short-term response to an emergency or a high-pressure thing moment. live in this space long term, and that heady cocktail of cortisol and adrenaline creates systemic inflammation. It disrupts normal digestive processes and it gets in the way of your body's rest and recovery cycles. The underlying cause is associated with what stepping up means to you. If you're doing it from the perspective of I'm inadequate, so I have to find that inner surge, and if I do it for long enough, it'll feel normal and I'll operate at a higher level, then you're on the fast track to burnout with a nice dose of agitation and anxiety on the side. You see, your body is a master or a mistress of adaptation. Do the step up because I don't really have what it takes, so I'll fake it until I make it for long enough, and survival mode becomes your new normal. Except that operating in that space of stress and agitation is an inflammatory response, and ultimately you'll burn yourself out. So what's the solution? You flip it. You change your perspective. I need to step up in order to meet this challenge or operate at this new level becomes I'm the person who's already operating at that level. I choose that next version of me. So now that I know that I'm that person, how is that person choosing to think, to feel, and to behave? So rather than coming from a place of inadequacy, you're coming from a place of completeness. It's already done. A foregone conclusion. You're standing just past the finishing line and looking back at what you chose to do, to be, to feel, and to think. And it's from that perspective of knowing you've already won the race. Notice how that place of knowing feels in your body. Notice how different it feels to when you're halfway through thinking, I'm running on empty, but I have to find a way to step up and get to that finish line. It's a completely different energy. A completely different feeling. Want some help flipping the switch? Let me tell you about a particular type of coaching that's available to you called resolution coaching. Are you looking to make a shift? Imagine the difference and the ease of that shift because you got really clear on what you wanted and then you recalibrated your resources so that you got to make that shift from the perspective of it's already done. Now I'm just working back. Curious? Let's jump on a clarity call to talk more about resolution coaching. The links around this video. If we feel we'd be a great fit, we can talk about next steps. The fit may or may not be there, so it's not a foregone conclusion. But at the very least, you'll walk away from that call with absolute clarity on your next level. And that's because all you need is already within you. Sending you lots of love. Bye for now. Hey, thanks for listening to today's podcast. Can I ask you a favour? If our conversation spoke to you today, could you please take a moment to leave a 5-star review? Your review will help people discover this podcast, and together we can create a world where there's even more love and more laughter. And if you want to hear more from the Project Joyful podcast, just click the subscribe button. Bye for now.